How I got started. How I got started as an entrepreneur. It was a hot summer day, 16 years old. I was riding my bike to a place I had been going many times, perhaps more than I should. It was a snow cone stand. A snow cone stand. They had all these delicious flavors and they had cool names like Wolverine and Spider-Man and Tiger's Blood. And then I saw a sign with two words on it that changed my life. And the sign said, "For sale." And I thought what any 16-year-old would think at that moment. I thought, if I buy this, I can have as many snow cones as I want. So I went home, I asked my parents, how do I buy a business? And I asked the business owner $12,000, and that was about $12,000 more than I had at that time. And then I went to the bank and I asked the bank, how do I get $12,000? And they said, give me a business plan and find a co-signer. Co-signer was my parents. Business plan, my first business plan. If I look back at it, I still have it. I'm sure it's quite a bit different from what I'm doing these days. But even then, 16 years old, I had a business plan. How am I going to find customers? Who are my competitors? How am I going to pay the bills? I had suppliers. I had a landlord who I was paying rent for the location. So I started employing people at 16 years old. Who was I employing? All my buddies who wanted as many snow cones as they could eat. So it all started there, and it went on to, I was owning 5 different businesses over the course of my high school and university career. Paid for my schooling and paid for my travels. I traveled to 24 different countries before I was 21 years old. And so I always thought, how do I make money so I can go do the things that I love, which is traveling? And often when you're in the world of having a job, which I've been in many times, you either don't have the time, or when you have the time, you don't have the money. So I thought, how do I design a business that facilitates the lifestyle that I want? Well, to first answer that question, instead of focusing on different business models, I focus on my lifestyle, design the lifestyle. So when I work with entrepreneurs, the first question I ask is not what business do you have or how much money do you want to make, it's what lifestyle do you want to live? And then we can design a business that facilitates that lifestyle. How much money do you need to make that lifestyle? Okay, let's design a business that will make you that much profit. So this is the beginning of, how do you design the business to live the lifestyle that you want? So when I introduce myself, I say my name's Majeed, like magic. And I do that and I say Majeed like magic so people can remember my name. Majeed's not very common. And I found that was really helpful when I was networking. And I started networking when I came to Canada. I didn't have a job, didn't know a single person, so I started going networking. I'd say, hey, I'm Majeed like magic, and people would think I'm a magician. So it worked, it was memorable, but I was going out and I was meeting people, and I was going out and I was saying, how can you help me? What can I get from you? And I found out my networking was really ineffective. So then I started asking the question, how can I help you? And this is a much more interesting conversation. So I was getting all sorts of feedback from people. Well, do you know anybody in this field? And well, do you know how to do this thing? And we were having really lively conversations. So turns out networking turned out to be a lot more fun than when I started. So now I do quite a bit of networking as an entrepreneur, and I actually teach people about networking, teach entrepreneurs different skills, different techniques to make their networking more effective. So I discovered early on that I love to travel. So the question I had at the beginning was, how do I finance travel? How do I pay for traveling? And so you can go the traditional route of working a job and saving money, and then you have a chunk of money and you go travel. Or you can go the risky route of, I'm going to put it all on a credit card and then I'll figure out how to pay it later. What I was doing as I was starting these businesses, I would start the business, I would make some money. When I sold the business, I would have more money than I'd ever had before. Then I'd go travel and spend it all. Then I'd come home broke. Then I figure, well, let's do that again. What's another business I could start, and I'll grow it and I'll sell it. It was good, it was fun, but it's a cycle of up and down and up and down and up and down. So the question I was asking was the wrong question. The question I was asking was, how do I finance travel? Now I have a new question. The new question is, how can I go somewhere that I want to go and come back richer? That's the question. How do I go there and come back richer? So for me, I love to do speaking and training. So I'll do a speaking engagement in some area of interest. Say I want to go to New York City. I'll do a speaking engagement and they'll cover my travel, my accommodation, and they pay me a fee. I've gone there and come back richer. I just spent the last year in Australia. Again, how do you go there and come back richer? That was a job opportunity. Traditional employment contract, but the employer paid for my airfare there and back with my wife, both of our visas. They gave us a car, they gave us accommodation, and they paid us more than we needed to live on. And then we were able to finance 3 months of traveling in a van all through Australia and New Zealand. So I got a great experience, got paid to do it. So the question I'm asking now is, how do I go somewhere, come back richer? The questions you ask are very important. Oftentimes people don't ask questions. They have beliefs. Say, for example, I have a belief, I want a new car, but I can't afford it. So you hear over and over, I can't afford a new car. Well, what does that belief do for you? You believe what you say because you're a very credible source of information to yourself. So, okay, I believe I don't have a car, and you will actually find evidence to prove that correct. You'll see a price tag and you go, that's more than I have in a bank account. You'll see all your bills piling up and you go, yep, as you can see, I can't afford a car. I'm right, I can't afford a car. If you asked a question, the question would be, how could I afford a car? How could I afford a car? Or even, how could I get a new car? Don't even have to pay for it. Don't make paying for it even a prerequisite to the question. How do I get a new car? So now you're thinking creatively, maybe I could get a second job, or maybe I could borrow money, or maybe I could do a trade, or maybe I could get a company car, get a job that gives me a company car. You open your mind to possibilities when you're asking a question. So anytime you find yourself saying a negative statement or a limiting statement, turn it into a question. I don't have enough friends. Turn it into a question. How do I make new friends? I don't like the clothes that I own. Turn it into a question. How do I get better clothes? The question activates the creativity. The negative belief just locks you in. I've been privileged to work with hundreds of entrepreneurs, and they've all been either coming from employment, unemployment, or they're starting a business for their first time. This is where I focus, that first-time entrepreneur. And those that are coming from employment, they have what I call an employee mentality. Show up to work, stay until 5 o'clock, do what the boss tells you, and don't get fired. If you're really ambitious and you're a real change maker, then you're going to bring new ideas, but that starts to get hammered down by the bureaucracy, and eventually you stop bringing new ideas because it's not rewarded. What's rewarded is showing up on time and following the rules. You have to flip all that upside down when you become an entrepreneur. You wake up in the morning and you have this question in your head. What should I do today? What's the most important thing for me to do right now? Well, you actually have to answer that question yourself. And the way that you effectively answer that question is you have clear understanding of your short-term and long-term goals. Because what you should be doing right now is moving towards your goals. So any activity you're doing, whether that's reading to improve your skills, or emailing to follow up with your customers, or going to a networking event, or building widgets, is that the best use of your time right now? And right now means with your current energy, with your current resources, with your current who's available. So if it's 9 o'clock at night, it's not making phone calls. Maybe it's doing emails, or maybe it's reading, or maybe the best thing for you to be doing right now is sleeping. A lot of entrepreneurs, they burn the candle on both ends. They're not getting enough sleep. They're not taking care of their bodies. A great investment in your business is exercise. Exercise, gym membership, healthy diet. Try to run a business where you, the single point of failure, are not eating right, you're not sleeping right, you're not exercising right. So what's the most important thing for me to do today? So that's one of the biggest shifts, is making your own schedule, your own priority, and constantly reevaluating, is this the best use of my time?